He's one of the top 5 leadership experts in the world and has sold over 20 million copies of the 5 a.m. Club, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, and the Everyday Hero Manifesto. He's coached billionaires from Fortune 100 companies, rock stars to royalty. Please welcome to Virgin Radio Dubai, Robin Sharma.
Maz, great to see you.
It's such a pleasure, Robin. I want to start off by saying I think there's a bit of a energy shift these days, and a lot of people are transitioning and searching for something with more of a sense of purpose. What would your advice be to those people who are seeking for something more?
I'd say, first of all, remember that your instinct is more powerful than your intellect. So trust your gut, you're wiser than you think. And you're absolutely right. I think the pandemic has shaken a lot of foundations, and people are looking for that work with more meaning. Maybe it's the relationship with more meaning. Yeah. We've all realized that maybe the world can change in a day. And so I see so many people taking the trips that they were avoiding and embracing the projects that maybe they were resisting.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I have to say that since the pandemic as well, I've definitely sensed a huge change in myself, and I guess the consciousness of looking for something with more meaning. Speaking of the pandemic, it's affected so many different people, and so many people are feeling so exhausted trying to find that joy and that purpose again. And there's this new phenomena called quiet quitting, which is also happening from schools and workplaces. How do you think people can find that joy again, and why do you think quiet quitting is happening?
I think quiet quitting is happening because people are they're rethinking everything. They're rethinking their values, and they're rethinking their free time. In the 5 a.m. Club, I have this concept called the twin cycles of elite performance. And if you look at a great life and you look at great performance, it's not about working 24/7. It's about working intensely when you work, and then pulling back and spending time with your family and refueling and enjoying the fruits of your labor. What's the point of being successful if you lose the soulfulness along the way? And so I think people are realizing that. They were on a treadmill, they're working 24/7, they were always available. For some people, their family lives suffered. They didn't take the trips to Rome, they didn't take the vacations, and they just got burnt out and depleted. And now I think people are seeking much more of a balance, but they're also looking for not only worldly success, but spiritual fulfillment. They want to feel that peace of mind. They want to feel they're living life in an elegant way, and that's true to themselves. And I think that's part of what the quiet quitting is about. But Maz, I would say, it's a balance. I think, it's very powerful for a human being to do difficult things. I don't think we should just look for an easy life. Yeah. I think it's important to do difficult things, and sometimes in work, for example, there are projects we don't like, but often the project that scares you the most carries your greatest growth. Yeah. So I think it's a fine line between saying, I want to slow things down and enjoy life more, and in getting to the point where you're just having it so easy that there's no growth and there's none of the benefits that difficulty brings.
I love that. I find it happening a lot in schools as well. I think especially people who are in their final year at school are giving up sort of a little too easily.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was speaking to.
Yes.
That if you look at people who do amazing things in the world, whether it's the Mandela's, Mother Teresa's, whether it's the top entrepreneurs or CEOs, they had many things in common. One of them is they were in the business of consistently doing difficult things. Yeah. And I would actually say, Maz, that doing difficult things gives you an easy life. It's the hard workout that has the greatest payoff. It's the difficult presentation that helps you upgrade your craft. It's the hard conversation with your significant other that builds greater intimacy. And so I think if we just choose a life of ease, and we always want it easy, and we don't want to ever stumble, then we won't get the benefits that stumbling brings. I mean, if you look at any great investor, they will say, without risk, there is no return. Yeah. And so you're going to get bloodied when you take risks. And when you reach for the mountaintop, you're going to sometimes stumble. But that's how you get stronger, better, more patient. You become better as a creative person. You become wiser as a human being.
I love that. What do you have to say to people who think that they have bad luck? If they've tried everything and things are just not aligning, is there something they can do?
Well, I'd say maybe you do have a lot of bad luck. No, I must be honest with you. I'm very much a realist.
Yes.
And so much of what I've written about, especially in the new book, the Everyday Hero Manifesto,
Yes.
it's these models on productivity and leadership and how do you create great success. A lot of it's the methodology from billionaires and sports stars that I've distilled into that new book. Yeah. Having said that, I believe that heaven helps those who help themselves. Mm-hmm. So I don't talk about this a lot, but I would say we must do our part. I have this acronym called absolute personal responsibility. Yeah. Get up at 5 a.m., read the books, develop your skills, deliver great value for your customers, be honest, be passionate, be a good human being, stay fit. All those things we know we must do to build a great professional and personal life. Yeah. If you're doing those things and a tragedy happens, I don't think you're unlucky. I actually think you're blessed. Mm-hmm. Because failure carries a hidden fortune that we only see in the passage of time. Yeah. And I do believe that there are an invisible set of hands that guide us along the way. So if we've exercised personal responsibility, let's say we have a startup or relationship, and we tried everything, but the relationship didn't work out, you've done your part, now let life do its own part. And I'll say for myself, my most painful experiences open doorways to a whole new level of possibility and a much better life. Mm-hmm. So when I went through them, I was suffering. Now I look back at them and I realize they were gifts.
And as Rumi says, what you seek is seeking you, right? So
yes, and as Rumi said, I love Rumi too. And as Rumi says, keep breaking your heart over and over until it opens.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that.
And then he also said, well past right or wrong, there exists a field.
I'll meet you there.
I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
Like,
beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. How do you overcome failure? Say, for example, somebody feels like they're in a dream relationship or their dream job, and then it doesn't work out. What are some tips on how somebody can overcome that?
Well, I think one has to remember that persistency is the price of ambition. And so a failure only becomes a failure if we perceive it as a failure. So if the job doesn't work out, you've got to lick your wounds. Mm-hmm. In the Everyday Hero Manifesto, I talk a lot about that. It's like the world says basically don't feel. Yeah. Everything's mindset, but there's also this term I've introduced, heart set. Mm-hmm. So I think people run into problems where they lose the relationship, they lose the job, they feel sad or angry, disappointment, they stuff it down because the world says don't feel. Yeah. And then they have all this repressed anger and disappointment that blocks their creativity, their energy. It creates bad health and low performance. Mm-hmm. So I would say if you're in a difficult time, feel the loss, go through the grieving. This is not flaky, this is science and this is elite performance. But also there comes a time where you need to move on. Yeah. And so once you've processed through the lower emotions, keep moving forward. The acronym is KMF, keep moving forward. The Japanese say get knocked down 7 times, get up 8. Look at any great entrepreneur, any great leader, let's look at Nelson Mandela, 27 years in confinement, 18 years of suffering, Robben Island. They wouldn't even give him trousers for the first few years for those cold South African winters. Yeah. Made him work in a limestone quarry. You talk about purpose. Why? Breaking rocks, and the rocks wouldn't be used for anything. It was psychological warfare. And yet when he emerged, if you look at every picture of Nelson Mandela after he got out of prison, he's smiling. And so I think we must look at so-called failure and ask ourselves, what's the gift here? What's the opportunity? Why did this come to me? How can I exploit failure to make me faster, wiser, more loving, more creative, a better human being?
In the Everyday Hero Manifesto, you talk about the importance of relaxing and rejuvenating and maybe getting massages sort of once a week. If somebody can't afford the massages, what are some alternative ways, for example, or affordable ways that they can rejuvenate?
Sure. So, I mean, this is the idea in the Everyday Hero Manifesto about the twin cycles of elite performance.
Yes.
And we have been seduced by society into thinking, okay, I'm going to take a break, or I'm going to get the rest I need, or I'm going to take a vacation, or I'm going to take one day off every week to go to the desert, or to get a massage, or go to the art gallery. We were talking about the Museum of the Future. But we feel guilty. Well, if you look at the most productive people, they take a lot of time off. And when they're taking time off, they're not only renewing, their next level of ideas are incubating.
Yeah.
So a great life, elite performance comes by doing intense work and then resting a lot and recovering a lot.
Yeah.
So having said that, this 2 massage protocol that I talk about, if someone says, well, I can't afford it, of course I respect that, but often we come up with excuses because we're scared of growing. Because I also hear people sometimes saying, well, I'm going to wait till your book comes into soft cover because I don't want to buy the hardcover. You know, and so what I would say is you can find an excuse for anything if you really don't want to grow. On the massage thing, you know, if you're scared of growing subconsciously, you're going to say, well, I can't afford it. Well, you could trade.
Yes.
You could call a massage therapist and say, why don't you give me an hour massage and I'll trade and I'll give you this.
Yeah.
But of course, if you can't afford it, I respect that. What I would say is you give yourself a self-massage. You know, massage is incredibly powerful for rejuvenating your energy, reducing inflammation, keeping your focus and cognition high, and living a long life. You give yourself a massage. You could say to your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, give me a massage. I'll go online, learn how to do it. You see, there's so many ways to do things, but members, too many good souls, you say, read this book, I'm busy.
I'm busy, yeah.
Read about the 2 massage protocol, I'm busy. Read Robin's 5 a.m. Club book, which is helping millions of people own their day, I'm too busy. Take the time to journal or take the time to write your plans, that would never work. Those are the ideas that keep too many people stuck.
In the 5 a.m. Club, you say a bad day for the ego is a good day for the soul. Is egoic suffering necessary in the growth journey?
Wow, I've never been asked that question. Maz, you're going deep. What I'd say is there have been a few great souls who have graced the planet that got to the point of egolessness. And I think those people became enlightened, full of light, no darkness. But that, from what I can tell, only a few people have got to that level of consciousness or leadership or wisdom. I think for the rest of us, we need to suffer because suffering is a purification process to introduce us to our truest selves. And so I look at, again, you know, I'm no guru. I look at the times where I've been knocked down in the valley. I've been blessed. I've been on the mountaintop of success, and there's been times I've been in the valley of darkness. I talk about in the Everyday Hero Manifesto, one of the early chapters, the chapter is called That Time My Private Journals Vanished. 10 years, private journals, everything. My lows, my highs, my insecurities, my hopes, my dreams, all disappeared. And so I've faced a lot of adversity in my life, but I must tell you, the suffering was absolutely essential to crack the ego, to open my heart, to introduce me. Even my creativity wouldn't be what it is, or my writing, or my speaking. It wouldn't be like I wouldn't be able to speak from the heart as deeply as I do now if my heart hadn't been broken. And so I think a bad day for the ego is a great day for the soul. When we're going through a hard time, we go like, why is it happening to me? It's happening to you because it's meant for your growth.
Yeah, I love that. So beautiful. And for anyone watching and listening right now who feels a little stuck, what are five things that someone can do to really elevate their life?
absolute game changer, join the 5 a.m. club. Science, for example, the research of University College London says it'll take you 66 days to install a new habit. Yes. Human beings have a gift, and it's called neuroplasticity. We are built to grow. So join the 5 a.m. club, install that habit. It will take you 6 weeks. It won't be always easy, but forget this love of easy. And then once you're up, you have an hour for yourself to exercise, to write, to grow, to read, and all those things I talk about in the book. Second thing people can do if they're stuck, release the energy victims and the dream stealers from your life. Yeah. And those are the people, Maz, you get excited about something, they watch your interview, they go, I'm going to make a change, and then you talk to someone, they go, that won't work, you can't do it, etc. Third thing I would say, you can change the world or play with your phone all day. You can't do both. An addiction to distraction is the end of your creative production. Yeah. So enjoy social media, but don't let it dominate your days. Turn off your notifications. Be present with people. Do real work versus fake work. You know, you go to some of the sites around the world that are so beautiful now that we can travel again, and people are missing the beautiful site because they want to get it for their social feed. Yeah. And then I guess that's 3 or 4. I'd say the final thing is, well, fourth thing would be, make sure you rest. Rest is not a luxury, rest is a necessity. Yeah. And then the fifth thing is, you know, don't take life too seriously. You know, I think it's okay not to know all the answers if you're stuck. Yeah. Sometimes we all have a higher power. And that's not religion. We all have a conscience. We all have an instinct. Call it instinct or higher power. Yeah. And maybe you're stuck because this is a season of your life where you're supposed to be stuck. But if you keep on reading and praying and meditating and talking to people and trying to figure it out, you will get to your next level of clarity. Yeah. And that's just called life.
It's a journey. Yeah.
It's definitely a journey, sure. Yeah.
Robin, it's been such an absolute pleasure to have you on Virgin Radio and, of course, in Dubai. We were just talking about our love for Dubai, and we're so excited to have you back and really looking forward to seeing you speak tomorrow.
Maz, thanks for being so kind. Congratulations on all your success, and it's been fun being with you.
Thank you so much.